I knew that the food supply problem would need to be solved quickly. Otherwise, discontent would rise to a point when it would not be good for me. I shall say that much. Not good at all.
Work time! Get moving!
Since there's likely to be more survivors out there, I knew that food production would need to be increased. Thankfully, there was a steam hub spare, so I had somewhere to have it constructed. Thankfully, the hothouse would be researched before the end of this day. Also, thankfully, there will be more than one medical facility in this city. We could certainly use it. After that, I'm thinking a way to access that iron ore. Yes, the steelworks would be nice. And the food supplies did not go amiss. Now that the medical facilities are more efficient, the steelworks can be researched. Oh yes, and I had the first of the hothouses constructed. They might use steam cores, but they were worth the investment. Especially if it means that the food is coming in as quick, if not quicker, than it's being eaten. A few still hungry. Let us hope they remember to eat. I know that sounds cruel, but I would have thought that it would be hard to go to sleep on an empty stomach. Thankfully, I have not got to those levels of desperation. No need for the cookhouse to be in use. Not when there's not enough food to make it viable for good, the steelworks are done. And I must be getting certain research projects confused. Now the medical facilities improvements are being worked on. Even though it's currently too cold for anyone to be working around the steelworks, it was best to be prepared. Yes. At least there would be somewhere to gather more of what we need to make steel. Everyone is fed. Although to keep it that way, the cookhouses will need raw food. And to get raw food, hothouses are needed. Yes, I decided to delay the construction of the steelworks.
Workday ends. It's off time.
As night was coming. And hunters were needed in order to gather enough to sustain the population, at least until more reliable sources of food can be established. And as for the scouts, an automaton was patrolling the bridge, stopping snow from settling on it. There was a choice to send it back to our city or strip it down for supplies. I decided that it was more useful to us long-term, intact. A worker that works without pause, save for refueling. It would take time for the automaton to return. Meanwhile, there was a convoy to investigate. Finding the bridge to Winterhome proved that we're on the right track, but raised questions. Why was the bridge deserted? Why wasn't the automaton under the care of an engineer? I told the people we'd find out in Winterhome. There are perfectly logical explanations to this, but we were lacking in information. Although I did know that it would be nice to have a generator that could provide more space for expansion.
Work time! Get moving!
This day would be a day when food production would increase at a faster rate than food depletion. We have a cookhouse, 2 even. It would be good to have those capable of working in them. I can afford a temporary sacrifice of those working in the gathering huts near the coal fronder in order to gather food, which is a more immediate problem right now. I certainly thought so. An automaton is heading towards this city. All I could do in the meantime was manage everything that can be managed. Until it gets here. After that, well, we will have a ceaseless worker in the steelworks. And then the large convoy was reached. More survivors were found. They were searching for Winterhome. They couldn't find the signal from the beacon. They ran out of fuel to look around longer. They could be left to their fate, but would surely die. They could be directed to our city, but some would definitely die trying. Or they could... Oh, what do you believe would happen? We had to escort them to relative safety. To make sure they got there alive. I was asking myself, was I confusing better medical facilities for more scouts? I thought, oh, I don't know anymore. I should just focus on making sure everyone is fed and has access to heat. To make sure that we do not all freeze to death. I also need to consider the possibility of gathering more wood from other parts of this crater, because that sawmill will not last forever. The next research project, now that was certainly interesting. I decided that improving the range of the generator would be most prudent. Because it meant that we would be able to expand the livable space by at least enough for more houses. Well, we'd need to research better housing as well, yes. And right now there was some raw food to be cooked. Mostly hardy vegetation and any animals that could be hunted. But as long as it kept us alive, that didn't really matter, did it? Then I thought, how did the rate of technological advancement happen so quickly? One of the engineers told me about that. 1822. It could have gone so differently, but Mr. Charles Babbage created a machine that could produce charts of greater accuracy than anything that came before. And from that simple steam-powered machine, well, it would be simple by today's standards, resulted in all of this. And the range of the generator could now be expanded, although it would still be prudent to create bunkhouses, or rather research them so that they could be created.
End of shift. Go rest all who can.
I believe that it would be a good idea to create another coal thumper. I would probably have needed to do that eventually. Perhaps at some point a coal mine. I decided against expanding the range of the heat zone of the main generator. The next day would result in a temperature drop. I was asking, did any of the other nations think of something similar to this? The Americans, the French, perhaps even the Russian Empire. Perhaps some went into the Sahara Desert. A place of unimaginable heat. During the day, anyway. Some might think that would provide more adequate protection against global cooling. Yes, I believe that gathering coal is more important than gathering wood right now.
Buckle up. It's getting colder.
It's a good thing that there's more to work with as far as those could... Sorry, that could work. Although, it is a slight problem. That I need to have houses made. Oh yes, and there was also a scouting party. They needed to be directed to where to look next. At least now there was more to go around. The available work that could be made. More food gathered. In fact, more of, well, everything could be gathered. that reminds me, I must remember to make another child shelter, I was thinking at the time. Although at this point, another coal thumper was a higher priority. As it would do little good for their children if they were freezing to death due to a lack of coal to fuel the generator and the steam hubs. I thought at the time, why am I making tents when I could be making coal thumpers? Or rather ordering others to do that. Well, resources could be spared, and as for that scouts party, the weather station was a good destination as any. While the food situation was resolved for now, the fuel situation needed to be rectified. I thought that the tents could wait. Right now, the cooking was needed.
Time to get to work.
And I could afford to have a few workers stationed there. As long as I felt was needed. Or at least as long as the supply of raw food was coming in. Yes. Sometimes it's the waiting that can break anyone. Well, anyone that lets it break them. Some are more resilient than others. As for me, I need to be more resilient, because if I break, others will follow. The arrival of the automaton should make expanding the city somewhat easier. Although I knew that it would not get any later on. Constant expansion was required.